Pivoting is important, but you shouldn't abuse it. You need to know when to pivot and how much to pivot if you really want to see success in content creation. So, everything, as far as I'm concerned, should be viewed in a 90-day cycle. Unless you have enough data to suggest a different time period. But if you're just kind of going into this raw, do a 90-day cycle. That's the only way you're really going to understand what's working and what's not. But that's when you'll make a major pivot. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be course correcting along the way. That is where you can also make minor and micro pivots. So for me, as I'm creating content, I like to do things in week blocks where it's like, okay, I got a week going here. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing, more or less, for 1 week. And if I'm seeing traction with it, then I maintain that and then I'll make a micro pivot to something that builds off of it. But if I'm not seeing traction, I'm going to make a micro pivot away from it and see if I can gain traction in the following week. But all of them are going to feel very internally consistent. It shouldn't be one of these things where people are like, what is he doing? What type of content are they making day to day? It's all over the place. No, that shouldn't be the sense, right? It should all feel very internally consistent. But then what will happen is over the course of 30 days, if I'm not getting the traction that I want, then I will make a minor pivot. So the minor is, again, like, this is my criteria. So the micro is the really small one. Then we're graduating to a minor pivot. And a minor pivot, if I'm not seeing the traction, this is where it will probably be noticeably different. However, it's not going to be so different that it's like I'm a different creator in general. So maybe I'm going to switch the way I communicate with the camera. Maybe I am going to use more graphics. These types of things are important, these minor pivots, if you're just not seeing traction. But I'm still in this overarching 90-day window. And by the way, if I am seeing traction, I'm still going to make a minor pivot, but it's more of a improvement. And so I'm going to take that same format and now I'm going to build off of it with something that is also going to be very noticeable, or at least somewhat noticeable to the viewer. And then after 90 days, that's when I'm going to kind of evaluate everything. I'm going to look at it, see where things have gone right, where they've gone wrong. And by the way, if things are working, I'm not going to change anything here. I don't want you to think like there's always this, you're compelled to make these pivots. At the same time, you just want to be tactical with them, right? Your overarching strategy is the 90 days, but your tactics are more about the micro, the minor, and then the major pivots. And if things are just not working after 90 days, that's when you can do a full reevaluation.